Like, what is it that's still kind of prevents more people from leaning in?
I think there's two things, Carol. Yeah, there's two things I would name. One is, I think you're absolutely right. There is still a cost perception. Berkeley did some research for people who consider solar. Why didn't they get it? And it's because they didn't think they could afford the down payment, or they wouldn't qualify for financing. We've rolled out this new business called SunPower Financial that should eliminate those perceptions, because we offer lease, loan, and cash alternatives. So really almost anybody in the U.S. can afford solar nowadays. But I think the second issue is we have an awareness problem. We as an industry have not done a great job of really refreshing, people's perception of what solar is and how affordable it is and how wonderful it is, in terms of making a positive contribution to the planet. So as part of that, I hired a new CMO, June Savajay, who came from Spotify, and we're really going to try to reinvent not only our brand, but this category. How do we really drive people's awareness of the benefits of solar as we go forward?
Okay, Peter, we got to talk supply chain here, because I know that it's been difficult to procure the materials necessary in order to build solar panels. Talk to us about your supply chain, customers, where you're seeing snags and where you're seeing costs go up.
Well, you're right, Tim. There's two issues. One is the supply chain, which is impacting so many industries. We've been very fortunate. We kind of judge it on cost, quality, service. On all three of those, we got through 21 okay. And it's kind of hand-to-hand combat, so you can't look too far ahead and celebrate. You have to kind of take it a month and a week and a quarter at a time. But as of right now, we feel pretty good about our supply, even with this increase in demand, being able to be meeting demand this year. But I will say the prices of everything have gone up dramatically. That's been an area that's been a struggle. Freight costs are up a lot. The cost of the raw components for these panels are going up quite a bit. And so you are seeing...
What do you mean by quite a bit?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
What do you mean by quite a bit?
Well, I think we've seen prices, increases in the past few quarters that are the kind of price increases you might see over a year or two.
Wow.
We've seen them over a quarter. So 5%, 8%, 12% price increases.
And then you have to pass those on you have to pass those on to customers?
It depends, but yeah, I think some of it gets passed on, and some of it, we try to find other efficiencies within the company. So, but I think that that's a big issue for not just our industry, but for many different manufacturing industries, which is how do we reinvent the way we think about supply chain? And in our case, my number one worry is actually keeping up with this faster consumer demand that we're seeing.
Wow.
Okay, we've danced around it though. So tell me, I can never, when I say an average house, I don't even know what that means. But Peter, help me out there. So we've got a home in suburbia. Maybe it's not a mega mansion or something, but what does it cost? Because your website will talk about how you finance doing it. So it's not necessarily something everybody can just do in one shot and pay for it. What does it cost to, let's say, do an average home in suburbia to do it, to equip it with your panels?
Yeah, so average home today is $25,000 for just solar. That gets you 18, 20, 22 panels. Our SunPower panels are in the premium market segment, so these are the best panels you can buy in the world. They're the most efficient, they have the best resiliency, the best durability. And obviously there are alternatives that are, less expensive than ours that don't have those same characteristics.
Yeah.
But that's a big, that's a big amount of money. That's a buying a new car territory. It's perceived by consumers to be a very large purchase. So that's why we're trying to really innovate. How do we come up with loan programs and lease programs that make it affordable for more and more people? As you guys know, I think the estimates I've seen, 80 million people live paycheck to paycheck in the U.S. Interestingly enough, those are the people who would benefit the most from saving a couple $100 every month on their utility bill. So we launched a program last year called 25 by 25. We're trying to make 25% of our customer base from underprivileged areas of the U.S. and really bring this concept of how do we make solar affordable to everybody in the U.S. because we know how much this cost savings is to so many people in that income bracket.
All right, we got to run. Stay in touch. We'd love to hear more, certainly in the future. and hear more about how customers are buying and what you are seeing in terms of demand. Thanks to Chairman and CEO of SunPower, Peter Farsi, joining us via Zoom from Seattle, where you said there was a little clouds, right?
Yeah, but still putting electricity on the grid. Yeah, shows the efficiency and how it's improved. Hey, let's get over to Charlie Pellet for a check the latest. What's going on in markets after hours? Hey there, Charlie.
Well, let's talk about what's happening with Oracle. Tim Stanovic, shares down now by 6% in post-market trading after reporting adjusted EPS that did miss the average analyst estimate. It was a down day on Wall Street across the board. Stocks fell, Treasury yields pushed higher after inflation accelerated for a sixth successive month, and the Russian attack on Ukraine showed no signs of letting up. Oil declined, the dollar rose. What about the economic backdrop? Could we see a recession? Tracy McMillian is head of global asset allocation strategy at Wells Fargo Investment Institute. She was our guest for right here on Bloomberg Business Week.
We don't think that the U.S. is going to see a recession, but we're reducing our growth and our equity forecast for the U.S. along with our growth expectations for the rest of the world. And at the same time, we're increasing our inflation expectations.
So it was a down day. The Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ all declined today, with the S&P dropping 18 points, down 0.4%, giving back some of yesterday's advance. The Dow down 112, down 0.3. NASDAQ down 125, a drop there of 1%. 10-year down 10.30 seconds. 10-year yield 1.98%. Spot gold up 0.2%. 1996 the ounce. West Texas Intermediate crude down 2.8%. 105.66 a barrel. Still awaiting latest numbers out of Rivian. Again, recapping here. Oracle reporting earnings. Oracle slumping after hours by 6%. I'm Charlie Pellet. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, Charlie, really appreciate that update. Well, we've got the details on a partnership between NASDAQ and Amazon Web Services. It's all about building out the next-gen cloud-enabled infrastructure for the world's capital markets. Cloud is everywhere.
It certainly is. Ruba Borno is Global Channel Chief for AWS, also known as Amazon Web Services. Ruba joins us on the phone from North Carolina. Lauren Dillard is Executive Vice President of Investment Intelligence at NASDAQ. Lauren joins us on the phone from Austin, Texas. Great to have you both with us. Lauren, I want to start with you and just understand why the partnership why this is the right partnership for NASDAQ and AWS.
Well, thank you, Tim, for having us both. We're excited to talk about this. Look, at NASDAQ, we've had a long cloud journey, actually. Our vision is that the global capital markets and where we sit will be enabled and belong in the cloud. I think everything you're seeing in the markets today just reinforce that they have to be dynamic, they have to be future focused, they have to be innovative. New retail brokers have to be able to set up shop quickly. And frankly, as a technology provider, we have long had many kind of cloud native products on the back of Amazon. And this partnership just really solidifies taking the markets themselves into the future. We can talk about the details, but we have actually a lot of the surrounding systems already in the cloud because we've been on this journey with Amazon for over a decade now. But truly moving the matching engine, the actual matching engine of the markets, the cloud is what we're endeavoring to do across the markets that NASDAQ's run, and we're delighted with the partnership.
Ruba, come on in on the conversation. So, you guys work with a lot of companies that depend on you for various cloud services. We know that AWS is massive. When you approach a project like this, how do you think about it and listen to the client in terms of what they're needing, especially when it comes to financial markets, right? This is our bread and butter, and you got to make sure that they're running smoothly.
Thank you so much, Carol, Tim, for having me and Lauren here, and we're really excited about the partnership. And one of the greatest things about AWS is that we do everything with a foundation built on leadership principles. And one of our top leadership principles is actually customer obsession. And what that means is actually working backwards from the customer. Now, with NASDAQ, they are both a customer and a partner. And as Lauren mentioned, this has been a 10-year relationship, so nearly a decade going back. We had NASDAQ CEO Adena Friedman on stage at our annual conference at reInvent this past November to talk about this multi-year partnership. But if I go back to even 2014, when NASDAQ first moved from an on-premises data warehouse to an AWS data warehouse to increase scale and performance and lower operational costs, that was really the start of it. And then that cluster continued to grow as NASDAQ grew, and they continued to consume more and more of AWS's services. So as we think about the next phase of the partnership, when NASDAQ will move all of its operations to AWS, and Lauren mentioned moving the matching engine, which is the technology that powers the NASDAQ Stock Exchange, it's really incredible because we're looking at not just what it gives them, but also gives their end customers as well. So it gives them and other market infrastructure operators and market participants the ability to confidently move their trading systems to the cloud. It's really the first of its kind collaboration that we've had, designed to meet the latency, fairness, and regulatory requirements of the world's most critical markets. And what we're excited about is that it helps deepen the capabilities that NASDAQ has in anti-financial crime, data and analytics, and market infrastructure software solutions for their clients.
Right.
It helps them deliver it at scale.
Well, Lauren, I got to bring you back because the last year and a half or so, certainly during the pandemic, right, we were all watching the rise of the retail investor and meme stocks and alternate trading platforms. How do you guys think about what your platform needs to be, especially as how we trade in the financial markets in a big way continue to evolve and kind of test, if you will, the establishment, which you guys are a part of, even though you're certainly younger than the New York Stock Exchange, you're considered part of the establishment, and people are, especially a younger generation, a younger retail investor, are looking for different ways to be involved in the markets.
Well, let me start with just fundamentally the markets, the security of the markets, the resiliency, the reliability. I mean, those are all core to, frankly, allowing market participants. And as Ruba said, we at NASDAQ, our purpose is fundamentally inclusive capital, driving inclusive capital. So we want more market participants. That's fundamentally the way we think about it. So if you kind of tie this back to our cloud discussion, that resiliency, that security, that innovation, that scalability is a big reason why this partnership is very important to us as we look forward and scale. And you are exactly right. If you think about the market itself from pre-pandemic to now, this is a good fact. Prior to 2019, the average message count for options was about 15 billion messages. And now the new normal for options is 55 billion messages. So there is an enormous amount of activity on the markets, and that market resiliency is so critical to us. And we at NASDAQ take great pride in that. And I should mention, and Ruba touched on this as you did as well, we run our NASDAQ market, but we actually also power over 130 other market infrastructure clients. So when you think about how important this cloud journey is for us, it's not just for our own markets, which is obviously critical, and those numbers that I just said are staggering, but it's also spanning all of the exchanges and banks and clearinghouses and other technology platforms that we provide and that rely on us, frankly, for clearing and trading and settlement and surveillance. So we are a technology provider at our core. And so this cloud journey really shows the other markets that we can endeavor on this journey as well.
Okay, Ruba, I want to get a little nitty-gritty here with what exactly AWS is doing for NASDAQ here. Are we talking fully cloud, like all off-premise, or is there stuff on the edge that helps make that transition to the cloud?
Thanks, Tim. It's actually both. So what we're really excited about here is that core to NASDAQ's move to AWS will be something we call AWS Outpost, which extends the AWS infrastructure, services, APIs, and tools to virtually any data center, co-location space, or on-premises facility. So we're really excited about that, and it does provide all of those services. And we're starting in a phased approach. So actually, we began with one of the markets in January of this year, and so we'll be following a phased approach to continue that expansion.
All right, we're going to come back and continue the conversation with Ruba Borno. She's Global Channel Chief at Amazon Web Services on the phone in North Carolina. And Lauren Dillard, Executive Vice President of Investment Intelligence at NASDAQ on the phone from Austin, Texas. Just want to remind you that we did see some earnings after the closing bell. Oracle out with their latest results, and we are seeing that stock down about 5.5% in the after hours. Third quarter adjusted revenue, $10.51 billion. That was in line, but their profit did miss some estimates.
We're also seeing DocuSign take a hit right now in after hours, down more than 16% as revenue estimates for the quarter and the year came in short. Let's get to Washington, D.C. for a check the latest world and national news. Nancy Lyons is standing by. Hey there, Nancy.
Thanks, Tim. Major League Baseball owners and players are finally on the same page. They've reached a deal on a 5-year collective bargaining agreement that salvages a full 162-game season. Opening day is now set for April 7th. Russia and Ukraine held their highest-level talks today, but Ukraine's Foreign Affairs Minister Dmytro Kuleba says there was no agreement on a ceasefire.
We did not make progress on this since it seems that there are other decision makers for this matter in Russia.
Dmytro Kuleba says Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said they would continue their aggression until Ukraine meets their demands, which include surrender. There's another tension point between the U.S. and Russia. Bloomberg's Nathan Hager has the latest developments in the information war.
The White House is blasting Russia and China for promoting a conspiracy theory that the U.S. military runs biological and chemical weapons labs in Ukraine. In a statement, Press Secretary Jen Psaki called the claims preposterous and the kind of disinformation they've seen repeatedly from the Russians over the years. Psaki also raised concerns Russia could use chemical weapons in Ukraine. At a Senate hearing this week, Undersecretary of State Victoria Nuland said the U.S. is working with Ukraine to keep materials from its biological labs out of Russian hands. In Washington, I'm Nathan Hager, Bloomberg Radio.
The Biden administration is extending the mask-wearing requirement on planes, trains, and other transit for another month. The TSA says the mandate that was set to expire March 18th will be extended to April 18th. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Bloomberg Quick Take, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries.
All right, Ann, thank you so much. You're listening to Bloomberg Business Week. We're going to get back to our guests in just a moment, the collaboration between AWS and NASDAQ. In the meantime, Janet Lauren, bringing together academia and crypto.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing here. 4 Princeton University alumni who studied at the Ivy League school in the 1980s and went on to become some of the highest profile individuals when it comes to crypto are donating $20 million to their alma mater.
And of course, Janet Lauren is our Bloomberg News reporter. She covers really finance of higher education and looks at endowments. So what's going on? The money will fund a research initiative to, quote, better understand the potential benefits and pitfalls of blockchain, the tech, of course, behind cryptocurrencies, and will be housed in the School of Engineering and Applied Science. Princeton saying that today in a statement. Interesting to put it there.
Yeah, the donors are Peter Bridger Jr., principal and co-CEO of Fortress Investment Group. Joseph Lubin, our viewers and listeners know, he's the co-founder of Ethereum Blockchain Network, also the head of Consensus. Daniel Moorhead from Pantera Capital, and then of course you knew this name was going to be in here if you know anything about crypto. Michael Novogratz, CEO of Galaxy Investment Partners. Novogratz and Lubin were roomies at the university, Lubin noted.
That's a story I kind of really want to do.
You know, okay, so back
I want to know what it was like when they were back there.
Well,
in the quad.
As soon as I saw this story, I thought back to this 2018 article that Gary Steingart wrote for The New Yorker, where he went with Michael Novogratz back to Princeton to a reunion. This is all pre-pandemic, 2018. And really focused, it was a profile of him going back to campus, and he was early into crypto and betting big on crypto. Novogratz was, yeah, and it's a really great profile if you have interest. Be sure to check that one out.
I will check it out.
Yeah.
I will say that Lubin said in an interview that he informed Princeton that he hopes the school will accept his gift in the form of a digital asset. So they're going to be giving it in crypto, right?
Yeah, but which cryptocurrency? I mean, you know.
And how quickly do you bank it or transfer it?
Yeah, to fiat currency, right? That's a question for our mayor, I think.
Right?
You know, who got paid in crypto for his first couple of paychecks.
Be like, quick.
Exactly.
All right, you're listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Carol Masterton Stanovic. We'll get back to our guest in just a moment, right here on Bloomberg Radio.
Tri-State Business Report is brought to you by Audi. Don't let someone else drive off in that Audi model you've always wanted. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer to get behind the wheel of yours today, or visit AudiOffers.com for more information.
Breaking business news from Sydney to Tokyo to Hong Kong. Bloomberg Daybreak Asia.
I'm Brian Curtis.
And I'm Doug Christner.
We'll have Asian reaction to the U.S. CPI data, and we look at how Asian economies are dealing with volatile energy prices.
Plus, how China plans to achieve its growth target as the National People's Congress wraps up.
Bloomberg Daybreak Asia, tonight at 6 on Bloomberg 1130, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com. This is a Bloomberg Tri-State Business Report. Manhattan apartment rents soared to an all-time record high last month. Tenants paid a median of $3,630, the most for any month in more than a decade of data keeping, and up 28% from a year earlier. Leasing costs are now 2.5% higher than the previous record, set in April 2020. The Brooklyn Tower is starting sales as the luxury market once again booms. After 5 years of construction, the Times reports JDS Development Group has nearly completed the city's first and only super tall building, tower, outside Manhattan. The Treasury Department says the Supreme Court shouldn't take up a case that challenges the constitutionality of a capital